Many people are anxious regarding the impending Medicaid cuts, and politicians use this as a time to perhaps exploit on your anxiety. But I'm here to let you know there have been cuts to Medicaid for decades. This conversation has been going on. However, the same holds true that there's particular devices that people can use in order to protect themselves, in order to be Medicaid eligible, so that there's no issues whenever that time comes. So, what are those devices that people have been using since Medicaid came to the forefront as a way for low-income individuals to not have to pay out of pocket for most medical expenses, particularly long-term care? So we're focused on Medicaid readiness so that an individual can have long-term care. So this is an individual in their 50s and 60s is looking at how they're aging, their quality of life, and wondering whether or not they'll need long-term care under the umbrella of nursing home care in a facility or a nursing aide that comes to the home in order to take care of the individual. Medicaid pays a bulk of this. This is why this type of insurance for a senior or an elder is extremely important. Not to be confused with Medicare. Medicaid pays for long-term care, whereas Medicare only pays about 100 days for in a nursing home or a home care facility. So this is why it's really important for those who are aging to consider long-term care planning. And so what many individuals do, especially high net worth individuals, is that they rely on irrevocable trust. Whether or not they should be paying their own way, that's debatable. However, this is a loophole that they're able to benefit from because it's available to them and they know about it. So I'm sharing it with you. So what many high net worth individuals do is place their assets into an irrevocable trust. Irrevocable means it cannot be changed, amended, or altered without substantial steps being taken. And so it's also set up in a way to trigger Medicaid readiness. So assets are placed in the trust, assets being the personal residence or several residents, their IRAs, investment accounts can be placed into the trust and a trustee is named to manage it. So it's out of that individual's personal name and placed into the trust. And then that person waits a period of time, particularly 5 years, to apply for Medicaid. This 5-year period is also known as the look-back period. Every state has it. This look-back period is where Medicaid looks to see if assets were transferred during this 5-year period in a way to misrepresent the assets of the individual applying for Medicaid, because remember, Medicaid is need-based, it's for low-income individuals. So in order to discourage people who could pay for health care, Medicaid imposes this 5-year look period, and so any assets transferred during this period for less than the fair market value, that individual will then be penalized and have to perhaps wait in order to apply for Medicaid or pay out of pocket for that medical cost, those medical costs for that period. And so this is really crucial. So even someone who places assets into an irrevocable trust still has to wait this 5-year period before they can apply for Medicaid and be deemed eligible, because a transfer into an irrevocable trust is a transfer below the fair market value of the assets, because it's almost like a gift to the trust, so to speak. There's no money exchange. And so that transfer does not exempt that person from that. Transfer is still scrutinized. Also, an individual can sell an asset who's not doing an irrevocable trust. An individual can sell an asset during that 5-year period, but as long as that asset is sold for fair market value, that person can still be deemed eligible. The important part is the fair market value. So Medicaid looks at any gifts that seem because gifts seem to be a way for the individual to part with the asset so that they could be Medicaid eligible. So that's why that's scrutinized. However, a sale is not scrutinized and that individual will not be penalized. But here's the caveat: the proceeds from the sale. So if you sell your home for $400,000 and you have a net profit of $400,000 and you have that money sitting in your bank account, guess what? Medicaid has authority to tell you you have too many assets to be eligible for Medicaid. So it's really important, once you sell that asset, that that money goes into an account that is not in your name. So please let me know any questions. I will do a series of these videos discussing these things. And I also have a book coming out that talks about how to avoid probate, how to deal with irrevocable trust, how to speak with an estate planning attorney. It pretty much breaks down all of this thing that's going on that people are so confused about, from probate to Medicaid. I have that coming out in the next few weeks. But if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section.